Hey everybody, back to the Audrii Cunningham case for a little while. In my previous video, I talked about this a little bit, how the habits of dog culture are at play in this case. The habits of letting your kid be around a predator and saying that, oh well, he wouldn't hurt us, and other such things. So I'll put that video in the description. But let's look at it a little more, because this is full of dog culture habits. Okay, they say that the sheriff dropped the ball, quote unquote. So here's our video. They say that he dropped the ball, that he didn't arrest this guy right here when he could have, and maybe that would have saved the little girl. That kind of reminds me of all the pit bulls that kill people and then they euthanize them. If they would have euthanized them first. But that's just a side topic. So let me ask you guys, what kind of world does this sheriff live in? The sheriff that is in charge of this case. What kind of world does the guy that allegedly murdered the little girl live in? Both of them live in a world that puts kids down in the dumpster as far as value and puts dogs high up. And so let me show you a few examples of that. Here's an example of the world that the sheriff and the suspect live in. So this couple right here, supposedly they were struggling with substance abuse. Guess what happened to them? CPS, Child Protective Services, took their kid and gave the kid to a different family. The kid was then mauled by that family's pit bull. That's the society we live in. Child Protective Services puts kids with pit bulls where they get mauled. So I'll put this story in the description. You can have a look at it. Here is another example of the world that those people live in. The sheriff and the person that probably killed that little girl. They live in a world where these dog attacks happen all the time on little children. And this playlist is in Texas. Here's the story I was telling you about, the 2-year-old girl attacked by a pit bull. This is right there in Texas where the sheriff lives. They live in a world that puts children just at low value and puts dogs at high value. And that's all downstream. That affects that man, that affects the sheriff. Living in a world where they allow dogs to kill and maim children on a regular basis. If that guy right here had thoughts about hurting little kids, and then he saw everybody out there allowing kids to get hurt by dogs, that boosts his strength. That makes him think, oh, well, those people don't care about kids, so I could probably get away with this. One of the dog culture habits that we see all the time, it's, well, this dog wouldn't hurt me because he's my dog. He's our friend. Yeah, maybe dogs have attacked in the past, but this is my little guy. So if this guy is the guy that killed the little girl, what kind of mentality did the parents have to have? That same mentality. Oh, he's never done anything to us. No. So let me show you an example of that mentality. It's everywhere in our society. So we're going to pop over to this other story called Birthday Girl Gets Her Entire Eyelid Ripped Off by Chihuahua. I'll put this one in the description too. So the story is pretty crazy. People even blamed her for this happening. And she has all kinds of problems because of it, and migraines, and she can't drive. But look what she says. Even though a dog ripped her eyelash, or her complete eyelid off, she says, everyone else's dogs I'm hesitant around. Dogs are unpredictable. I can see that now, and I'm very careful as a result. But she says also, she knows that her dogs wouldn't do anything. Not her dogs wouldn't do anything. I bet the lady who owned the Chihuahua who ripped that eyelid off, causing this damage, I bet she said that too. Oh, my Chihuahua would never hurt anybody. So isn't it, that's the mentality that I'm talking about with dog culture. They know that dogs damage and kill people, but they'll sit there and be like, oh, not my pupper. He's the best pupper. I raised him up right. He never did anything to us. That's the same type of mentality that they had to use to have this guy in their life. Or if it was a different guy, even if this guy is completely innocent, whoever did that to that girl was close to her and was able to get access to her. And so the people would have to sit there and say, oh, well, maybe maybe he won't hurt us because he's our buddy. The same thing that dog culture does. So, sure, the sheriff dropped the ball. They should have arrested him and possibly saved the little girl's life. But the culture that they live in is what caused all of this. The fix isn't to have sheriffs running around arresting people, because in the long term, that's just reactive. And that's another thing about dog culture. It's just a reactive culture. We're not preventing bites. We're just waiting until bites happen, and then society is ready to spend millions on reacting to the bite, but they won't spend thousands previously to euthanize all of these dogs. And so now let's go to our next example. So in Houston, Texas, not very far from where this happened, they are dealing with all kinds of stray dogs. Law enforcement, emergency services, local people have to deal with these dogs, spend hundreds and thousands of dollars getting them off the street. Meanwhile, little girls get captured and killed, like in our story. So this woman was mauled by 4 stray dogs. And this place is called BARC. It's the local county humane society place. They can only respond to about half of the calls. So if there's a stray animal or you get bitten, they tell you to call 311. Those are all community law enforcement services dedicated to taking care of dogs. Yet where are those services for taking care of the little kids, aka our little girl that was killed? Notice what it says, vigilant. If you're walking around Texas, you got to remain vigilant to not be attacked by a dog. What about the vigilance for your little kids? This vigilance that we have with our human mentality, our human culture, it's a finite resource. And when we're giving all this vigilance and all this community resources to dogs, someone's going to have to pay the price. And it's our humans. It's our fellow humans. They even have a hotspot map of where all the stray dogs are. I'll put this in the description for you to have a look at. So they have maps to tell you where to go if you don't want to be bitten by a dog. They don't have maps of where the people live that are probably going to kill your little kid that have been in prison or things like that. They don't have little maps like this for little kids to go do fun stuff. No, they have maps for people to watch out for stray dogs. That's hundreds and thousands of dollars of resource and technology going into stray dogs when you could simply just call these dogs. In Texas, just think about this. In Texas, where it's kind of a gun-toting state, people like to open carry, these stray dogs are not getting shot. Instead, they're attacking people left and right and putting them in the hospital. In this case right here, as of making this video, this woman is intubated. That means she has tubes in her body and she's not awake because these 4 dogs attacked her. And they even show a picture of the dogs in this video. These are the dogs that mauled the person. And the person is unconscious, laying in a hospital. Hopefully she'll recover. Just think if that woman had defended herself with the proper defense tool, she would be alive today. Just think if they promoted that type of human protection instead of promoted all these dogs. So here's where the woman was mauled. That little red spot right there. Not far up here is where the girl was murdered or captured or put in the river. And Texas itself is full of stray dogs. So they're going to say that Texas law enforcement dropped the ball, not taking care of business. Do you think law enforcement and just the whole Texas communities and humans were spending time and money on something else? Oh yeah, look at all these Petcos and pet supply places. Let's just say like each one of these Petcos, let's say 10 people visit that store a day. What if 1 out of 10 of those people decided to go help a little girl like that? Help her get a class on how to balance her checking account, help her understand how to deal with adults that might hurt her, or just any kind of cool new thing. That would be amazing. But they're not doing that. They're running around blowing cash on pets. And the whole infrastructure is set up to support people that are blowing money on dogs. But what about the humans? Here's the area where the murder happened. Plenty of dog parks, huh? How many people do you think were running around at these dog parks, putting all kinds of effort into taking pictures of their dogs, putting them on Facebook, buying them fancy mail order little steak boxes? Lots of them. Hundreds and thousands of dollars on these dogs. Dog park, dog park, dog park. Where is the park for little kids to go safely and have like a community service officer hang out there and help them? Show them library cards, give them bikes. Where are those type of places? They don't have those type of places, but they got plenty of dog parks. So do you think that Texas and the surrounding law enforcement and citizens were so focused on dogs that it could have compromised their attention to their fellow humans? I sure think so. So that has been our second look at the Audrii Cunningham case and how the habits of dog culture fuel these type of behaviors. And I don't know about this case, the specifics, but I know these types of cases are a pattern. So I don't know anything about the sheriff. He's probably a great guy. The guy that they have in custody sounds like he's a piece of work, but that's really not my point here. My point is every time we see a case like this, where the law enforcement could have done better, where the parents could have done better, we also see a county or a state or a country that is extremely weighed down taking care of dogs. So just think if Texas didn't have to deal with all those stray dogs, those people could be out doing other stuff. They could be out doing fundraising to get bikes or scooters or skateboards or like little walkie-talkies and maps, things so little girls like this could understand the world that they live in better and be more prepared to deal with possible adults that might hurt them. And that would filter down because people like the sheriff and people like this guy or whatever guy did this to this girl, they would look out in society and they would see people valuing their kids better, and they would know that they're not going to get away with stuff. The sheriff would know that he has to protect kids and he's not going to be able to get away with it. He would be like, "Damn, these people love their children. I better figure this out right away. I better arrest this guy." And this guy too, he would be thinking, "Oh man, that mom and dad, if they figure out I hurt somebody, they're going to crush me and they're going to get me put in jail." But instead, we treat the dogs that way instead of the kids. So, thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.